Hello guys, this is Brian Tubbs coming at you with another video. Today is going to be kind of probably a quick video, just a little easy, quick video. Helping my son make some birds. Hopefully you guys can see these pretty good. Let me come around there so you can see it a bit better. So this is kind of what they look like. This is, of course, the head. It's a round, ball bearing, and a beak. Some wings and a tail. And the body is made by stainless steel rods that we bent, and shaped. So off the bottom, there'll be a piece of rebar going from the bottom down into the ground, where they'll put it in their gardens or whatnot. I made some leaves. I made some birds. Before he and I showed it to you guys. But these are going to be a little bit different because the bodies we used the last time, I don't have any more of those. I got those from a place that I used to work called New Step, where they used to, in their fabrication department, they would cut those different shapes out for the things they were making. Then those would be just leftover pieces. So I was able to go in there and grab, a bunch of them, and we used to make bodies for them and all that kind of stuff. We used to make flowers and that, but those, for the most part, ran out. And I'm sure I can contact one of the guys and have them get me some more, but we just kind of changed up a little bit. So like I said, we just use these are stainless steel rods. We just put them kind of together. The wings are TIG welded on. The head, I MIG welded it. I was going to TIG weld the head on, but it would just take too long. And then the little beak is TIG welded on. The tail, I think I TIG welded that on. But I'm just gonna kind of show you guys just kind of how we do it. I won't go through the whole process. It'll take too long to make the body, but you'll come up with your own design for your bodies and your wings and that kind of thing. So I just kind of take you through a quick little tutorial. And while I'm at it, I'll kind of talk about this cast iron. That's what it basically is. Okay, so although I'm making, a bird. Now my son, he's been helping me, but he had to leave to go take care of some other business. So I'm just kind of here, just kind of shooting a video of what we're doing. So I'll put that guy here. Well, let me set it over here so we won't get spatter on it. So this is what the wing looks like. It's shaped like that. And of course, this bottom piece we welded onto the body, and I have just a jig, but it's not really a jig. It's just a clamp I have, so I can clamp this too, so it'll sit on the body, and we can just kind of weld it on there. So I got that. And then this is an up close of the head. It's just a solid alloy ball. It looks like stainless, but it's not exactly stainless. It's an alloy. And then I'll be welding this to the front of the body, and then I'll weld the beak on to the front of the head, and then it'll be the wings, and then it'll be the tail. But we're out of tails right now. We just had to order some more because we were just doing a test fit of everything, because this is our first time using this type of body. First time using those wings, and the first time using the tail. We used this head on the last set of birds we did, but like I say, everything was different. The wings were different, the tails were different, everything was different. So what I did is I came up with this is a little bender I use when I'm bending like rod. I'll use this. I'll put the rod between these two tubes and bend the rod. So it was sitting in over on one of the tables. So I figured I would use this to take the ball, set the ball down onto, take my my table vise, set the bird's body in, just get it close, and just kind of line it up until it matches up with that with the head. And I was kind of tighten it down, you know, get a good look at it, just make sure everything is lined up and looking, you know, fairly decent. Like I said, this is just garden art, not going to be overly expensive or anything like that. It's just people just fall in love with this stuff. The dogs, the birds, you know, the cats, the butterflies, all that kind of stuff. They just fall in love with it. And so what I'm doing now, I just center it up this way, and then coming up this way, I want to center it, you know, so it's not hanging down too low. So that's what I'm doing now, just kind of getting it kind of centered. So I'm really just kind of showing you guys how we do it, but you'll come with your own way. And I'm just kind of giving you guys ideas on what we use and that kind of thing. So no real big secrets or anything like that. And so what I'll do with the head, is I'll tack it on with the MIG welder, tack it on the top, flip it under on the bottom side, because if I just tack the top, the ball will start coming away from the body, and then when you flip it over, you have this big gap underneath. And so, but before I do that, I want to talk about this cast metal or cast iron, cast steel. So I'm gonna come a little bit close to the camera just so you can see what I'm talking about here. Okay, so you have this is a cast piece that I use for this piece right here. It's the two sun piece that my son and I make. You've seen it before, but I use this decorative piece of cast iron on the top of the top plate. I'll have this, and then we'll have the circle. Then on top of that, we'll have the half moon looking thing on top. Well, when we made the first one and we had everything sitting on top, the welds broke. And I know my welds were good because I TIG welded it in, you know, hot. I think the top plate was probably like 3/8 thick, and this is, you know, for the most part quarter inch. So I welded it in hot. There was no undercut, no cold lap or anything like that. It was a perfect weld. Well, not perfect, but it was a good weld. But we took it to a show, and when we got to the show, I opened the trailer, and the whole sculpture had slid forward and hit the front wall just kind of gently, and the head was off. So we were about an hour and a half from here at this particular show. It was for my son, and I couldn't figure out why it broke at first because I didn't pay any attention to it. When I first bought these, I thought they were cast, but they welded up so nicely that I didn't think there was going to be an issue. I mean, but after it broke, I brought it back here, grinded everything down, grinded the welds down and everything, set it back on there, and welded it up again. But I watched it, and I saw a little, really fine little line going through the weld. And that let me know right then that this piece and the top base plate were cooling at a different rate. And when that happens, it'll split. Whatever the weakest point is will split. So I see this really fine little line going around the entire thing. And I said, oh my goodness, I'm glad that I didn't sell it, to the people. And I'm glad we caught it. This thing, it broke when it did, and not after we had sold it to somebody. They took it home. This thing came off, and it didn't like just fall off. It took some force because we rented a U-Haul trailer, a really small one. I didn't want to take my big trailer, and things, and they were just bouncing around, and so it bounced and slid, hit the front wall, and I guess it was just enough to jar this thing, and it came loose. And so what I did, when I got back here, I said I want to use this little decorative piece because it looks so nice with the two sons piece, that I want to continue using it. So what I did was came up with the idea of running this inner area in here is about 5/8 thick. So what I did was I bought a 5/8 steel, rod, solid. And what I do is I will have to grind it down a little bit to make it fit up in here, because even though they say 5/8, I think it's more nominal, so it's not quite 5/8, and this is 5/8. So when I try and slide it up in there, it won't go. So I have to just kind of grind this down a little bit, foul it down just a little bit. And so what I'll do is I will cut off what I need from this, so it will go on the inside of here, and it'll stick up probably a good 3/4 to an inch coming out of the top of this. So I will cut it to that length, and what I will do at that point, I'll set this wing down just for a second. What I'll do at that point is I will weld this. After I cut it, I will take this, set it on top of the top plate of the sculpture, TIG weld this in really nice and hot, so my weld will sit flat. It'll be right in right in the seam. It won't be sticking out, because it's too much weld or anything like that. And then what I'll do, take this guy, slide it down over it, and I will leave, like I said, about maybe 3/4 of an inch of this sticking up out of this. And what I'll do at that point is I'll take my angle grinder with a cutoff wheel, cut a slit in here, and that'll be about a 1/16 of an inch slit. And then I'll take my other 1/8 inch grinding rock, open the hole a little bit more, and I'll keep opening that slit up, or the slit, if you will, wide enough so I can take the top circle, slide it down in there, and then I'll weld the top circle and the half moon right to the inside the top of this. So it'll be sitting in there like so. And then, the upper circle and the upper moon will be resting on this. It'll appear as though it's resting on this as well, but it's actually resting on this metal that I know will hold, it won't break, because this is solid steel. And so now I'm not concerned about this piece and the top plate cooling at different rates and splitting. I'm not concerned at all about that weld around there. It's really just decorative, just sitting on top of the square solid rod, if you will, and everything is welded to that, so it's solidly welded. I saw that to bring it to this point right here. These look the same. This is a cast steel. This is a cast steel, or cast iron. But when we ordered these, we were looking for something that was a weldable cast iron or cast steel. Now this is considered weldable cast iron or cast steel. This is is not. This is really, what this is designed for is your railings, like your outdoor railings or indoor railings. Well, they'll just slide down on the square tubes, and they're just decorative. You might be able to maybe braze them or whatever they do with them, but they're not designed for welding, because they'll just break. And like the heat rate, the cool rate is different than the steel. And when I was playing around with it after it broke, I took my torch, heated this up, and heated the plate up just to see if I can get them to cool at close to the same rate. Now I know that when you're messing with cast iron, after you heat it up and you weld it, you should put it in like sand or something like that, sand, so it will cool slower and it may not split. But when you're talking about a 4-foot sculpture, I'm not going to put that big thing in some sand. Maybe I could have just laid the head in sand or something like that, but it just wasn't worth all of that, to me. So even with heating it up and them the two of them cooling, trying to get it at the same rate, it still split. So with this, I can weld this. I mean, I've welded it, to the stainless, and I mean, there's no splitting. I mean, I can take it, put it in a vise, and it won't break. It's just there. So what I'm saying is, when you're doing this stuff, whether you're making birds or you're making your sculptures or whatever, and you come across something like this, and you're not sure if it's weldable, and the people at your supply store or whatever don't know, it is, if it has a hole in it and you can slide it on over a known weldable piece of metal, I would recommend doing that, because you don't want to be at a show or you have sold the piece and someone gets it home and the thing breaks. And then you take it back to your shop and you weld it. You take it back to them and they set it up again and the thing breaks again, because you don't know what's going on. So really be careful when you're buying stuff like this, decorative stuff. If it's a cast iron or cast metal or whatever it is, be sure that it will that it's weldable. Even if you do your own test at home, weld it to a piece of steel that is weldable. Let it sit for a while, and then take your hand and see if you can break it off. So when you're buying stuff like this, make sure it's weldable cast and not just this stuff. So that's kind of the takeaway. Know what you're buying. Don't just buy what looks good. So like I said, in the description when we bought this, it said weldable, I think it was cast iron or cast steel, I think it was. And we got this from, it's called, what's it called? Intadel, which is the craziest name, Intadel. I'll put the name up on the screen just so you guys can see. I might be saying it wrong. It could be slightly different, but there's some kind of crazy name like that, Intadel, something like that. But just know what you're buying. It kind of goes back to that when I bought that stainless steel, thinking I had 304 and I had 409. So just kind of goes back to that. All right, so what I'm gonna do now is just bring you guys in closer, and I'm going to just show you guys how I kind of MIG weld this on, and then I'll set up my kind of jig. It's not really a jig, but I'll set that up so you guys can just kind of see how I put the wings on. Just kind of give you an idea if you want to start making like your birds and this kind of stuff like that. You'll kind of have an idea of how to do it, or how we do it anyway. All right, let me move you guys a little bit closer so you can see. Okay guys, so what I'm gonna be doing is just kind of, let me grab something. I'm gonna just be putting my water kind of down in this seam. I'm going to shoot a tack here, flip it over, shoot a tack on the bottom side, and down I'll maybe go to one other side, then the other side, just to get it, locked in. And then I'll just start shooting my tacks. I'm not gonna run a bead. I'll just run a tack. I have my welder set for running 1/4 inch, which is good enough for this. 323 inches a minute on the wire, and about 19 volts, somewhere in there. And these balls are not stainless steel, they're alloy. And what I noticed is when I was welding one of them, I didn't have it set up properly. So when I put that tack on the front, I flipped it over, the ball was setting too high off the body. So what I did was, it took a lot of force, but I was able to break this ball loose from the body. It took a lot of force. But when I did it, it took some of this top finish off. And you can see it looked like cast. So they call it an alloy metal. It's a bunch of different metals in here, but it's designed to resist, corrosion and that. So I'm just not going to tell the customers it's stainless. I'm gonna tell them it's alloy. Now the body is stainless. It's all stainless steel tubing. I think it's 304, but this is not, because people ask that. But the beaks that I use is 304 stainless. I think it's a 316 width, and it's stainless steel. So the body and the beak will be stainless. This will be, the alloy. And then the wings, of course, are the weldable cast, and then the tail is a weldable cast as well. But I don't have those. We had to order some more, but that's what the tail looks like. This guy here. It's about an 1/8 inch thick, which is nice. I mean, it's nice and solid. And so when the bird is on the pole, it'll kind of look like that. You can see the tail from all angles. All right, so the first thing I'm gonna do is just put a little tack here, then I'll flip it and put a tack on the other side. It took quite a while to get this thing set up because I was trying to figure out a way to make it easy where we can just like run an assembly line and not having to, do a lot of moving around and all that kind of stuff. So this is kind of what I came up with. I was using the vise, using this guy, this tube bender that I came up with, and I have a clamp that will go into these two areas here where it's marked in circle. That's when I get to put the wings on. So it's a few different things that I'm doing. But let me go ahead and run that first tack so you guys can see. Let me dim this camera. I'm gonna blind you guys. All right, here we go. All right, that's tack one. What I'll do is take it out. Put the head back in that tube. I'll shoot another tack. I'm getting down in there right into the seam. Okay, that's two. Then I'm gonna do is flip it to the other side, because what I'm trying to do is keep this from, from pulling one way or the other. Like I said, I'm just running just tacks. And after I do this tack, I'm gonna go ahead and just start tacking it on. All right, here we go. I'm just gonna start tacking it on now. clamping this down just to get a good ground, because I've noticed when I just set it in there and don't kind of tighten it down a little bit, my welder kind of sputters, like it's not getting a good ground. And just to give you guys an idea of what I'm using 309 stainless steel rod, because my like I said, the body is stainless, the head is an alloy, so they're dissimilar. So that's why I'm using the 309, which is designed for dissimilar metals. And as I'm shooting this video, we just came back yesterday from Florida. We installed these two sculptures. I'll put a picture up of them. This was about 20 minutes outside of Orlando. So we flew down. We had a guy ship them down for us. He hauled them down, and we flew down and met him there at the park that the sculptures are in. Had a good time. We were there for Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. Came back Wednesday afternoon. So it was a good time. The guys that did the installation was really nice guys. And the one guy who's the director over the sculpture park said that he liked my, the stainless steel one, the one we call flags. He liked that one better than any sculpture in the park. He loved the leaf, but he really loved the piece we call flags. And there was some nice sculptures in that park, so I'm not sure why he liked that one so much, but hey, I'll take it. All right, so that's the head welded on. There's spatter, a little bit of spatter, but that's fine, that's okay, because of what it is. It's a bird's head, so it's not a big deal. And so if you can see here and here, I have a mark where I want to put the wings. So on this side, I'll have the wings set on somewhere close to that mark, and then the other side would be on that mark or close to it. So I just make little lines and whatnot, just to kind of give me an idea of where to go with this stuff. Okay, so what I'm gonna do now is set my clamp up, my sort of like my little jig, so I can take the wings and mount those kind of to this clamp, just so they won't be moving around when I'm trying to weld it. So I'm gonna just put this back where it was in those circles, and just kind of go from there. Hopefully everything will kind of line up. So I'll set the bird's body here. Take a wing. Here's the wing. I want the kind of the concave portion pointing outward. So if you will, when it flaps its wings, it's catching air and it can fly. So let me bring this camera around so you guys can see this side of this thing. Okay, so what I'm trying to do is just set that on that mark, get it on this clamp, and I'll just tack it, and then I can just take it and kind of bend it in the direction I want to go. The hardest part about this is just getting it set up on this thing. Sometimes the clamp will want to hold, sometimes it won't, so it just kind of depends. So let me just see if I can get this thing to cooperate. And what I don't want is to have too much of this material on the inside, because it'll look kind of puffy, because the bottoms of these, if you can see, the bottom is pretty thick. It's thicker than this portion. It gets wider down here. If it was this thick all the way down, it wouldn't be a problem, but it's probably about an eighth of an inch here, but it gets to be about a quarter of an inch down here. This is quarter inch, so it's not bad once I get it, tacked and welded on, because I can kind of smooth that down with my TIG torch just to kind of get it to fit up better. So like I said, the key is just to get it on here, and then I got to turn the bird to try and get some of the inside of the wing showing from the front, because if I have it too flat, you really can't see that. So I have to kind of turn it so you can see that portion there when you look at it from the front. So it's all kind of things that we came up with. That was my wife's idea, more so than mine. I was just gonna put the wings on there, just forget about it, just get the thing done. But that's how she wants it done. So this is her and my son's project, so I'm just kind of helping them out, just getting things set up, because I got to get back to mine, because I got some sculptures I got to get done. So I'm just kind of helping out. And like I said, this takes the most time, is just trying to do this little thing right here. All right, let me fire this welder up. I have my welder set about 95 amps. I don't need to go much hotter than that, because I don't want this cast to melt away too much. And the wire, the TIG rod I'm using is 309 as well, because it's dissimilar metal. So I'm just using 309 stainless wire on that. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'll dim this camera just a little bit, see if I can get a pretty decent tack on here. Quite a lot to remember with these little things. And the only thing I was attempting to do is just get that tack on there without this thing moving. So if you can see that little tack. So now what I'm gonna do is take the bird, I'm looking at it from the front, from a frontal view, and I'm gonna position his wings like I want it. I'm gonna kind of pull it down this way a little bit. So if you guys can kind of see that on camera, this is the top of the bird here. And you got that wing kind of out. I don't want it straight up, and I don't want it too far out. And then when I run my tack underneath, that'll pull it down a little bit more. So let me go ahead and do that now while I'm thinking about it. Yeah, too much. Put it on this angle. Then I can just run in and just weld it in right there. And hopefully you guys can see this. I'm running it, pretty hot because I want to smooth this out. I don't want to have a big bump right there. And again, it doesn't have to be perfect or anything like that. It just has to be, good enough. So what I'll do now, just take and flip it and just finish this out, and then I'll put the other side on. Not a big deal. Not any deep thought. The deepest thought with this was just how to set it up with some kind of jig, just so it can be consistent. And I'm just taking my torch and just kind of shaping that the cast, just kind of get it smooth, looking smoother than what it looked like coming from the manufacturer. I just want to clean it up a little bit. What I'll be doing is just clear coating the entire bird. So that's what the wing looks like, welded on. So now I just need to jump to the other side. Just get it set up and do the same thing. And like I said, this is the most time-consuming part, is right here. Just doing this right here. That's it. Just trying to get this darn thing on here, just for a tack, and that's it. Because I had my son, he was attempting to hold it, but it's just difficult to hold this thing without your hands and stuff moving. Because once you put this part on here, it wants to slide either left or right, and it's just difficult, keeping it steady. So like I'm saying, I'm trying to get it here, not too far this way and not too far the other way, and I'm also trying to keep it close to that line, so it doesn't, when you look at them, one wing won't be ahead of the other. I think I'm taking and move the bird up just a little bit more. Now I have to see if it's turned properly this way, so you can see the inside of this wing here, and it's not just too flat. So now I have to turn the bird to kind of make that happen. And like I say, that's not my idea. I guess I'm not that smart. I will just water these things on there just any old kind of way. And I guess that's pretty good. So now it's a matter of getting a tack on, then I'll finish adjusting it and then water it up. All right, here we go. All right, now I'll take the clamp off. And make the adjustment. Because right now, if you guys can see, this wing is flowing more out this way, whereas this one is more straight up. I want to get it to kind of move out a little bit more. Not too bad. Yeah, not too bad. I'll go ahead and water up on the outside here now. So what I'll do is just run my weld, my weld in here, just to close that off. And the reason I know that this metal is weldable, because if it wasn't, you would hear a lot of noise, like it's sputtering and spitting, and you have stuff just flying everywhere. It's getting to it's all on your weld puddle. It's on your the tungsten on your TIG rod. You would just know with experience that the metal you're using is not proper. But it's funny, when I was welding up the two suns, I got a little bit of that, but not like usual. So that's why it kind of threw me off as to what it was I was welding. I knew it was cast, but I didn't know if it was weldable, because the guys at the metal supply store didn't know. Man, I love TIG welding so much. It's so clean, it's so quiet. I can sit out here all day long, just TIG welding. So if you guys don't have a TIG welder, if you can get one, I recommend it highly. And speaking of TIG welders, I know a lot of people don't want to spend the money to get, an expensive one. But I don't think it's necessary really to spend a lot of money anymore. Like I've talked about my Weld Pro welders, what I'm using now with the CK Worldwide TIG torch. I'm using that now. I love it. You know, I have my Lincoln, which I rarely use anymore. I think I'm going to let my son use it. I'm not going to give it to him, but he can use it, because if my Weld Pro goes down, I don't want to be having to scramble out to buy a new welder, so I'll just go back to my Lincoln. But I haven't tried it, but I'm hearing a lot of good things about this new ARC Captain, ARC CAPTAIN, ARC Captain. If you haven't heard of them, go online and check it out to see what they're saying about it. All right, so I have both wings on. Hopefully you guys can see that. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna move my jig clamp out of the way. And I'm gonna take and put this in the vise and put the beak on. The beak is not, you know, anything special. It's just takes time to get this thing, you know, lined up properly. And now if you guys see, I have the beaks on all of them except 5, because we ran out of heads. So I had to wait till these heads came in. So now I can go ahead and put the beaks, you know, on the head, and then, you know, put the wings on. And now we don't have the tail, so we're just waiting for the tails to come in. What I'm gonna do now is to show you guys how I put the beaks on, and that'll be about it, because I don't have the tail. So what I did was I put a little mark on my clamp right about there. So when I put the beak in, I know I need to put the beak right about in that spot on my clamp. So I'll just take one, put it in my clamp. So I'm gonna stick the point of it in there, get the clamp down. Then I just set this wrench, my vice wrench, on the table. Then I'll take the bird, kind of slide it up to it, the bird's head, slide up to it. Then I'm gonna take and lower the body until it kind of meets that beak. Then I'll take the beak and kind of make adjustments. So what I'm doing is I'm lining the beak up with this upper portion of the back, because this is coming in straight. I want the beak to play off of that being straight. I don't want the beak to the left or to the right. I mean, if I wanted it to look like the head was turned, I could put the beak over here or over here, or even up top, and like the bird is either have his head up, left or right. But I'd rather just have it looking like the bird is flying, so the beak will be forward, straight ahead. So now it's just a matter of getting the beak lined up. Making it look, you know, pretty good. Just kind of centering it on the ball, on the face. So now I have that lined up. Now all I do is just go in and just tack it in. I'll tack the top, flip it over, and then put a tack on the bottom. Then I'll go all the way around it, because I don't want it to show some kid come up and start playing on it, pulling on it, and the beak come up, because I didn't weld it all the way on there completely. All right, let me see if I can get in here. Let me turn my light on so I can see. It's difficult to see in here. All right, I got that tack on. I can take this off now. So I got that little tack on there. So now what I'll do now is just flip it on the bottom side. I like this vise because I can just get in there and just kind of tighten it down and just go in there and just weld. But what I forgot, well, I guess it really doesn't matter. I normally put the beak on before I put the wings on, but it really doesn't matter. So I'll go in here and weld up as much as I can on the bottom here. Going in pretty hot because I want that to weld in good. If you guys can see that I'm going to go in this little section here, the little area, just kind of weld that in. And no, you don't have to TIG weld it in. You can MIG weld it in. It just wouldn't look as clean because you will have all the, the spatter everywhere. But I mean, if you don't have a TIG welder, it's not that you can't do it. Like I said, it just won't look as, I don't think it would look as clean, that's all. So now I'm just doing that little section right there. I'll bring my prop in so I can get up a little bit higher. And the beak is on. All right, guys, so that's how we do it for this one anyway. Now, if we had a different body, it'll still be basically the same way. We put the head on, the beak, then I do the wings, and then I do the tail. It's okay to do the wings and then the beak. It really doesn't matter. But just want to if you have a top center, you want that beak to just kind of flow off of that top center. So that's kind of how I do it. And then I put the wings on kind of based on how the beak is and that kind of thing, but it really doesn't matter. And then if I had more tails right now, I would just go ahead and weld the tail on. But since I don't have that, this is, I think you guys get the idea. And so that's what the bird will look like, head on, side view. Then the rear view, you just have the tail coming up the back. And I'll be using, like I say, a rebar coming up the bottom, going into the ground, put a little L on the bottom so they can put it on the ground and take their foot and jam it into the ground so it won't be, moving around in the wind. And so that's how we do it. You know, each time we if we run out of whatever we come up another idea, we'll change it up next time. But that's kind of how we do it. We're going to make about I think it's 25 or 30 of these. So that'll take him through, a few shows, and then he has some dogs and some cats, some emojis, and stuff like that, just to kind of keep him going. So like I said, he was helping me, but he had to leave. So I figured I'd just make a quick video to show you guys what we're doing. But that's going to pretty much do it for this one. I mean, you have an idea of how to make a bird, but I think the most important thing of this video was part of the video was determining whether you have weldable cast or non-weldable cast. This went on so nicely, it blended in and welded so nicely with this stainless. There was no sputter or spatter or anything like that. But I had been welding with this to the stainless or mild steel or whatever it was, it would be kind of spattering and making little noises. But with this, it didn't do it that bad, so it was kind of tricky. But now I know what it is. I won't weld this directly to, the steel. I'll use my 5/8 steel rod, slide this on, and then weld it up from there. So that was the most important part, guys. Know what you're using when you're making your sculptures. Like I was doing the Tesla, the piece Guardian. When I put that brake rotor on top, wasn't thinking, welded it up, and what a weld was, the weld broke. And I said, oh my goodness. So that's when I came with the idea of using those stainless steel braces that I made to keep the thing, solid. On the picture, you'll see at the top there's some like a triangle brace on the top that's kind of holding the thing on. Then the top headpiece, which is the trailer leaf spring, is held on by another stainless steel piece. So that's welded to the top leaf spring, and it's welded to the top plate of the sculpture where the rotor sits. But those stainless steel pieces have a steel rod running through them, running through the brake, top and bottom, and that's what's really holding that brake rotor on. Is this rod? I think it's probably a 1/2 inch thick stainless steel rod that runs through those the brackets. So there's a hole drilled in the bracket, front and back. The rod goes through those two brackets, through the brake rotor, and it's welded front and back on that on those stainless steel brackets, and then it's ground down so you can't even see the weld. But that's what's holding that thing together. You may not want to do all of that, so just be careful with what you use when you're welding up your projects. All right, guys, so that's going to do it for this one, and I hope to see you on the next one. I'm not sure what I'll be doing, but I'll be doing something. But as usual, peace out.